Chapter 7. Ulrich was passionately kissing the simulation of Audrey Hepburn, the most playful, gracious, and dearest woman who had ever lived in human history when the dream turned dark. The policeman, still enjoying a semi-boner, was suddenly being held down by 3 strong men on dirty tiles about to be washed and bleached. He was kicking and trying to get out of their grip, trying to see their faces, but he could only see nothingness.
They must have hacked my visual cortex to censor their faces.
He was struggling, but to no avail. One of the men grabbed a knife and cut open his belly, fishing out his intestines and presenting them to the cop as snakes of wisdom. Ulrich awoke and unplugged himself from the simulation. It was not the first time his brain had dominated and assimilated a vision over a scripted dream. He exhaled and fell back into the bed, tired with his sleep gone. The policeman had potentially already had enough sleep, since now, for years, his routine was to go to bed very early as an act of avoiding the existential emptiness that prevailed outside his commitment to work. And to make the world a better place was the answer to his why, even if it was a lie. He was willing to take the excuse as an escape mechanism. He had a death pact with fate, and he was a man of his word. His only mission was to fool or erase the energy in his soul that wanted to live. His nihilistic philosophy caused such career issues as senseless violence, breaches of the law, and a lack of care to finish a case. If one would ask, his fellow colleagues would describe him as a protected murderer taking out the trash for the elite. He made his way to the kitchen and sat there sucking his raspberry-flavored protein paste out of a tube. 4 more hours till work. He grabbed a level 1 caffeine pill and maximum filtered water to down it with. The strange image of Mozart, Einstein, and Voltaire watching Nixon sleep in his own vomit popped into Ulrich's mind for no good reason. The Special Forces loner turned on the hologram projector and scrolled through the recently added criminal files. Nothing but Yakuza swine appeared within the light list of crime displayed. The true enemies of the Valor world and its leftover democracy. Ulrich gazed at the message box every few moments, hoping that Chief Tikasara would call him in early out of pity from seeing him browse the system at this hour, but nothing came. The drunkard's probably snoring right now. He thought about his boss being tight asleep and the hangover he would eventually awaken to.
The drunkard's probably snoring right now.
He thought about his boss being tight asleep and the hangover he would eventually awaken to. Ulrich didn't know better, so he stood up and put his Special Forces uniform on and attached his plasma-enhanced sword. His 2 pistols with high-velocity radioactive bullets and 3 flashbangs to himself. He didn't attach the microsensor to his left auditory cortex, connecting him to the police control center, since working outside the designated time was a breach of inner sovereignty. In fact, it was a crime itself that the policeman ignored and Tegasara covered him, making it look like Ulrich's work was that of some other lazy policeman who didn't even perform half of their duty. It was just more paperwork for the paper knight Tegasara, but he didn't mind it. Slowly but surely, like a drunk turtle, he would sit in the dim light of his office and finish one file after another. The lone wolf opened the garage doors and disconnected his cyber horse from the charging platform with a fingerprint and spat on its back leg for DNA identification. The eyes of the robot beast fired up in a glowering red. Nuclear mini-turbines were winding up the inside of its belly. 50,000 horsepower and the ability to ride 800,000 kilometers. Or use a magnetic shield for about 6 minutes. Was guaranteed with a full charge. The super cop loved to ride his baby beast to the limit. The cyber horse was doing about 300 kilometers per hour on the highway with the mighty rider on the back. His hair straight from the wind and tears running from his eyes. An illegally tuned Oldsmobile, a Lamborghini, was slowly passing the super cop. 4 neon-haired punks gazed with an evil look at the policeman.
I will fuck you up!
Roared the one with the pink bowl cut. Ulrich rocked back and forth on his cyber horse with his chest glimmering in the moonlight. The smell of death and destruction filled the night. His grin was far viler than that of the moon above him. At around 500 kilometers per hour, the super cop performed an ultra-violent jump, the horse landing right on top of the Lambo. The 4 titanium embellished legs pierced through the roof, leaving the punks inside screaming and pissing in fear.
Disable the machine!
The cop commanded his cyber stallion. All the neon lights underneath and inside the car shut off, and it started to slow down gradually. Just as gracefully at around 120 kilometers per hour, the cyber horse hopped off the Oldsmobile. The machine kept slowing down till it came to a halt, and Ulrich calmly rode along. The four clowns got out of the vehicle, humiliated and intimidated.
So what's up now, Bullhead? Want to proceed fucking me up?
The superhuman was looking for wild fun.
No, Mr.
The buffoon with the round haircut stuttered, acknowledging the height, muscle, and arsenal of equipment in front of him.
Come on, pussy. How about you four baboons? Do your best to give me a good fight. Don't you kids want to be Yakuza when you grow up? A real Yakuza would fuck a cop up like no tomorrow, right? Whose daddy owns this car?
It is mine.
Said the one with the turquoise afro.
I am a rapper, a musician.
The super cop replied with a cold, loud fart.
Okay, you ugly, dumb bastards. I will let you off the hook this time.
What a thing to say after ruining their Lamborghini for good. Thank you, sir. The humiliated boys now were scratching their heads and calling for a tow service. Rich climbed back up on horseback, tipped his invisible cowboy hat, and off in the moonlight he went. He went on a sweet ride to the offices where he sat at his desk and looked through the criminal profiles trying to memorize every single face.
Good morning, Chief.
After 2 hours of looking at criminals on the screen, Tagasra entered Ulrich's office.
Morning.
Tagasra looked like he was in pain.
Hangover.
Oh, yes, pass me your bin.
Tagasra was filling Ulrich's trash can with vomit.
I will fix you some medicine, boss.
No need, Ulrich. I have some of my own.
The chief whisked his flask out of his inner jacket pocket and gargled a bunch down. He was really abusing the social status of his rank, drinking himself to what once in the past would have meant death, but now just resulted in the core of surgically swapping the organ for a freshly grown one. Being a policeman meant free organs until pension, and Tagasara was abusing this perk. The only thing one couldn't replace was the brain, which in fact would mean the death of one's spirit. Yet people fortunate enough would swap out their brains too in order to enjoy the fruits of a new life. For an old school dog like Tagasara, the only true death was the one of the soul.
Well, boss, let me know if I can do anything for you. Any Yakuza pigmen I have to kill today. Dude, I'm ready to blast in there with an assembled team of mine, taking gunfights in the dark.
Langford goes, how about you take a day off and go see your girlfriend, Rich?
Hina, she is dead, Chief.
Oh, come on. Oh, Rich, don't be like that. That's just slanderous and childish. The fact that she got so severely burnt because of the accident doesn't mean it is all right for you to account her as dead.
She is dead to me, sir.
Ulrich could not love a piece of coal.
Come, Arch, you have been working so hard. Take a day off. Here's some extra cash from the police department's evidence room. Take her to Japantown, to one of those beach cinemas. Have you been to one of those?
No, I haven't.
Great. I wish you all the best.
The chief smirked and took another sip of his sweet old medicine.